Welcome to Awkwardish. My name is Ruby, and I'm a blogger, and podcaster who focuses on mental health, substance abuse, domestic violence, and pretty much anything under the sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get started. Hey, Awkward fam. So, I want to talk about something today that I don't think we give enough space to in healing conversations. And honestly, I don't think I even realized that I needed to talk about it. And so I caught myself getting irrationally angry at a Stanley Cup. I dropped it and spilled all my Gatorade because, of course, the lid wasn't tightened. And instead of just picking it up like a normal human being, my whole body was like, ugh, I am done. But then I thought, wait, this isn't about the cup. It's about everything I swallowed to get through each day. That's when I realized I wasn't just overwhelmed, I was angry. And I hadn't actually let myself say that out loud before. So today we're talking about anger and rage and trauma healing. The kind of anger that feels too big, too loud, too ungrateful, too not me. The kind of anger you were taught to hide. The kind of anger that shows up anyway. Anger isn't a failure of healing, it's a phase of healing. So let's get one thing straight. Rage is not you losing control. Rage is your body trying to restore control. When you live through trauma, your system learns to shut down anger because anger requires safety. You can't fight back when you're trying to survive, so your body tucks it away, and then one day, maybe months later, maybe years later, something tiny happens and your body goes, okay, we're safe now. Time to process the backlog. You see, rage is a mobilization response. It's your nervous system saying, I'm ready to stop pretending that what happened was okay. Now, a lot of survivors don't just feel anger. They feel guilty for feeling it, and that guilt can be louder than the anger itself. Because for so many of us, anger was never modeled as something healthy. It was modeled as something dangerous, or something that destroys relationships, or something that makes you just like them, quote unquote. So when anger finally shows up in your healing, your first instinct might be to turn it inward. Oh, I'm just being dramatic. I'm being ungrateful. I'm being mean. I'm becoming like the person who hurt me. I should be over this by now. I don't have the right to be angry because other people have had it worse. But here's the truth. Guilt is not a sign that your anger is wrong. It's a sign that you were trained to abandon yourself. Many survivors were raised in environments where anger was punished, mocked, used as a weapon, where it was unsafe to express anger, where it made everything worse, or where it meant conflict, and conflict meant danger. So your body learned a survival role. If I stay quiet, I stay safe. And now, years later, when your body finally feels safe enough to let anger rise, that old rule gets triggered. Your nervous system doesn't know you're safe. It only knows you're breaking a rule that once protected you. That's where the guilt comes from, not from the anger itself, but from the fear of what anger used to mean. And for survivors, guilt often shows up in 3 specific ways. The first one is there's guilt for making it a big deal. You were taught to minimize your pain, to be grateful it wasn't worse, to be the strong one, the quiet one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. So when anger shows up, it feels like you're violating a lifelong contract. Second one is guilt for being unkind. Survivors often overcorrect. You don't want to hurt anyone the way you were hurt. So any expression of anger, even healthy anger, feels like a moral failure. But healthy anger isn't cruelty, it's clarity. Thirdly, there's guilt for not being healed enough. There's this myth that healing means being calm, peaceful, and unbothered. But real healing is messy, loud, and it includes anger. Because anger is what happens when your body finally trusts you enough to tell the truth. So let's try reframing. You're not guilty. You're conditioned, and conditioning can be unlearned. The anger you feel isn't regression. It's not a flaw, and it's definitely not proof that you're not healed. Your anger is evidence that you're healing, because anger is a part of you that still believes you deserve better. So, let's name something that I know all too well. Women are taught to turn anger inward. We're taught to swallow it, spiritualize it, smile through it. So instead of anger, it often becomes anxiety. It becomes depression. It becomes self-blame. We learn to be pleasant, agreeable, grateful, quiet. We learn that anger makes us too much. But the truth is, anger is often the first sign that your spirit is waking up. I do want to make a note that there is a difference between destructive anger, protective anger, and transformational anger. Protective anger is quiet. It's steady. It's the voice that says, I'm not doing that anymore because I deserve better, and I'm allowed to walk away. We're mostly talking about protective anger in this podcast episode, but in the future I will give destructive anger and transformational anger their own episodes. So, many of us were taught, turn the other cheek, be sweet, be humble, don't make a scene. But those teachings often skip the part about boundaries, accountability, and protecting your own humanity. You can honor your culture and your faith and still say, what happened to me was not okay. So, rage doesn't always look like yelling. Sometimes it looks like snapping at something small, crying because you're overwhelmed, feeling hot inside, fantasizing about saying things you never said. That's a huge one for me. And shutting down because you're overstimulated. Rage can be subtle. It could be the body whispering before it screams. If you slow down and listen, rage is usually carrying messages like, I deserve better, I'm exhausted, I need boundaries, and I'm ready to stop carrying this alone. It's not a monster, it's a messenger. So let's look at some healthy, trauma-informed ways to move through anger. You don't have to manage anger, you can move it. Options include somatic shaking, humming or low growls. Whenever I think of that one, I think of that episode of Divorce Court where the wife would hum, or if she got really upset, she would just kind of like sing. It always sounded like gospel music. I love that. Writing an unsent letter, punching a pillow. That's a huge one for me too. Taking a rage walk, and saying I'm angry without apologizing. Anger doesn't need to be pretty to be valid. I think that's the last thing I'll touch on is rage toward your past self. There's a kind of anger that almost no one talks about, and that is the anger you feel toward your own past self. And for many survivors, this is the anger that cuts the deepest, because it's not just anger, it's grief, mourning, and the ache of realizing how long you lived in rooms that were too small for you. You might find yourself thinking, why did I stay? Why didn't I speak up? Why did I let them treat me like that? Why didn't I know better? Why didn't I leave sooner? And why did I keep giving chances? And that anger can feel sharp, almost like a betrayal, like you betrayed yourself. But here's the truth. The version of you you're angry at was doing the best they could with what they had. That past self wasn't weak. They were surviving, navigating trauma, conditioning, fear, attachment, hope, obligation, culture, faith, family expectations. All the invisible forces that shape how we move through harm. Not choosing pain, choosing safety in the only way they knew how. And when you look back, the clarity you have now, it's easy to forget that clarity is something you've earned, not something you always had. The anger you feel toward your past self is often a sign that you've grown, you've healed, you've outgrown the version of you who tolerated what you no longer can. You finally recognize your worth, and you finally feel safe enough to be angry. That's why the anger feels so big. It's not about punishment, it's about recognition. It's the moment you realize I deserved better back then too. And that realization can hurt. Because it's true. But here's the reframe. You don't owe your past self anger. You owe them gratitude. They kept you alive, got you here, carried the weight you weren't strong enough to name yet, and protected you in the only ways they knew how. You're not here in spite of them. You're here because of them. And the anger you feel now, it's not a rejection of who you were. It's a sign of who you've become. It's your body saying, I finally feel safe enough to tell the truth about what we lived through. And that is not regression, that's evolution. When you finally stop suppressing your anger, when you let it move through your body, something shifts. You feel relief, breath, and aliveness. Anger doesn't make you dangerous, but it can make you honest. Anger is not the opposite of healing, it's a phase of healing. It's the moment your body says, I'm done carrying this quietly, I'm done protecting people who harmed me, and I'm done pretending I'm fine. If you're angry right now, you're allowed to be. You don't need to soften it, justify it, or make it palatable for anyone else. Your anger is valid, it makes sense, and it provides information about where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. You are allowed to say that hurt me. I didn't deserve that, and I'm not carrying this quietly anymore. You're allowed to stop protecting the people who harmed you, to stop minimizing what happened, and to stop pretending you're fine. Anger doesn't make you dangerous, ungrateful, like them. It can make you honest, awake, and someone who finally recognizes their own worth. You don't have to hide your rage, shrink around it, or apologize for it. You're not becoming someone to fear. You're becoming someone who can finally protect themselves. You're becoming someone who can finally say no, and that wasn't okay. So, your anger is not the problem. Your silence was, but hopefully you're done with that now. You're allowed to feel what you feel, to take up space and protect yourself, loudly, clearly, and without guilt. Your rage isn't the end of your healing. It's the doorway to the next chapter of it. And you're allowed to walk through that doorway at your own pace, in your own way, and without apologizing for the volume of your truth. Thank you guys for spending this time with me again this week. As usual, if you'd like to keep in touch, you can follow me online. On Instagram, it's at awkwardrube and at awkwardishpods. On TikTok, it's at awkwardrube. Oh, you know what? And also at Red Petal Projects on Instagram and on TikTok. And then on YouTube, it's at awkwardishpods, awkwardishpods, and at awkwardrube. So hope everyone has a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you guys next week.